Hey guys, welcome back to RHR Jen. I'm so glad you're here. Today, I have an interesting one for you. This is one of my favorites that I did. I put it together a long time ago showing the difference of Catherine, Princess of Wales, as well as Princess Diana, people like that, and their treatment by the paparazzi versus this one, that one, and that one's wife, calling the paparazzi on themselves and smiling like a lunatic for backgrid. So it just is interesting and eye-opening, and we'll just tell you everything you need to know about these two. So let's revisit this paparazzi and the awfulness that happens to our beautiful Catherine, and then you have Meghan calling it on herself. Here we go. We're taking a look at paparazzi. What happens when somebody calls them on themselves? Yes, I'm looking at you, Meghan. Versus actual harassment by the paparazzi. We're talking about Catherine, we're talking about Diana, and the real, awfulness that they were put through by the paparazzi and the invasion, the intrusion, versus calling the paparazzi on yourself and the imaginary lone paparazzi on a scooter. So we'll take a look at all that. I have lots of videos to go through. We'll take a look at photos and we'll break it all down and talk about the differences. So without further ado, let's jump right on in. So this was Catherine's 25th birthday. They weren't even engaged yet, but there was rumblings of a possible engagement, I believe, around this time. And so they were camped outside of her Chelsea flat. And this is the kind of stuff that she had to deal with. There are other videos that go into they would do things to try to get a reaction out of her, and we'll hear a paparazzi discuss it, but by calling her names such as slag to try to get her to react, because the react photos sold for more money. Even saw a disgusting story put out by William explaining that paparazzi had spit on Diana to try to get her reaction, to try to make her cry, because those photos sold for more money.
Because I'm waiting for Kate Middleton, who's about to come out because she goes to work every day.
At what time she comes out?
8:15. She comes out at 8:15.
Exactly 8:15?
Yes, usually.
How much did you earn for that photo?
Well, I made at least £3,000 just in London, and then overseas a bit more. Yeah, I wasn't exclusive, but the pictures were sold everywhere, all over the papers.
Kate.
We can see her face, so that's what counts.
You think you can sell this one?
Maybe her face being mad. Yeah, she always sells. She knows the tricks to make the pictures unsellable, to make the pictures worth nothing. Because she almost fell over there. If she fell, then the picture would have been really sold.
But don't you think it's awful to wait for someone to fall?
No, it would have been a situation where it would be an accident and I would have caught the action, but it's not like I'm looking for it. It just happened, so that's why I'm thinking now, if she fell, because she almost did, but I don't want her to get hurt.
So again, private citizen at this point, this scumbag is talking about if she falls, he makes more money. Things like that. I learned so much while researching this about, of course, I knew about the weighty Katie, but what I didn't realize is they even followed her around and called her that to try to get a reaction and then put it on the side of a bus. There are videos of her crying and pleading with them to just stop, to leave her alone, to stop following her.
Come on. Away from me, Cat! Oi, guys, come on! Come on, man. Get off these fucking cats! That's the cat! Alright, fuck off!
Guys, this is totally illegal. Totally, stop it.
Last one, look at that.
Toby, this is unreasonable.
Okay, just move your hand and we'll leave you alone.
No, I'm not going to move my hand. This is my private life. I'm not going to move my hand.
Guys, it's enough.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Guys.
Leave her alone.
Guys.
Oh.
Leave her alone.
See you later.
Okay, so again, truly awful behavior, scary with all the flashing and following and her begging them to please just stop, and it's her home. Ugh, heartbreaking to see, right? And then there are pictures like this of Diana, who is truly, she's running to get away from the paparazzi. They were everywhere always, and a million clicks, and her again asking them to back off, even to the point where she would walk backwards, like with her back facing the camera to get to places so they couldn't get the shot of her. And then you have Diana here that realizes that the paparazzi is filming her and her children while they're on holiday. They're on a ski vacation, and she stops it so they can have a private family moment.
No problem at all.
So there's Diana, and I love her expression here, by the way, but having to deal with the actual paparazzi following her around, being intrusive, and having to deal with that, and having to figure out ways to hide her face or tilt her body or whatever so they can't get the shot. Now, let's change gears a little bit, shall we? Let's take a look at Hank and Skank, Harold and Fraud, and their claims of paparazzi intrusion. I would like to quote Diana here and say, "Be quiet, Harry."
Do we have that pap on the scooter again?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, we do? Really? Same guy?
Same guy.
Oh my god, how
Watched him going to this park and then...
Is he with us?
Yes, sir. He was just ahead.
There's a lot of people who think they've got such a problem with paparazzi.
Yeah, those, the guys in the basement of the building, too, as we were doing that walk, they were recording, too, just so you're aware.
So again, with their lack of detail, somebody following them on a scooter, somebody knelt down on the plane to thank Meghan for her service, somebody from The Lion King said they danced in the streets in South Africa. It's never specific details. And don't you think if the paparazzi were actually following them, they would show it on the documentary? They would love to show that off. No, instead we have video of them talking about it. And they talk about a lone guy on a scooter who could have been an Uber Eats driver, right? I mean, it's so ridiculous. I don't believe that there's actually anybody there, but even if it was, it could just be a guy who was like, hey, there's Dumb and Dumber. Let me pull out my phone and take a picture. And since we're here talking about it, let's just remember that they couldn't actually show anybody following the car. They didn't have footage of it. So what did they do? They used other people's footage. Remember this? It turns out that they had used footage from Donald Trump's ex-lawyer. We don't get political here, so we don't have to discuss. But so he was leaving his flat to go start his prison sentence. And there you go. So you can see it there. And then also remember, they used footage from Katie Price arriving at court. I believe they also used footage from Emma Watson being followed by the paparazzi, maybe something to do with a Harry Potter premiere, even before they met. And then this shot. So they're pretending like people are following them. They don't even have examples to show, so they use other people's actual footage of being followed by paparazzi. So let's go into Meghan specifically, because there's a history here of her calling the paparazzi on herself. Here she is interacting with a paparazzi who happened to know where she was at and what she was up to. Was asking her about suits. I didn't hear them call her any names or follow her or chase her. She doesn't seem to mind talking to them. She doesn't seem to be calling security or asking for help or anything like that. Nope. One lone photographer, paparazzi, whatever you want to call them, asking her about Suits. But you guys, she sure likes to claim she was harassed. So let's dive further into this staging thing, that she stages her own paparazzi photos. Hell, we saw it just happen not long ago.
Yeah, on that occasion, I was in Toronto, actually. One of the best sets I took of Meghan was a set of her actually going to a florist. And at the florist, she literally was there. She honestly facilitated. She posed up for us. She smiled at us, me and the other guy I was working with. And we got such a beautiful set of pictures. She talked to us. And at one point she was like, telling me, she's like, oh, where are you from? I was like, I'm from London. She's like, well, you need to stop wearing that trench coat because we're in Toronto. You need to wear a puffer jacket. Meghan also used to organize setups where she would ask an agency, hey, I'm going to be turning up to a restaurant or an event. Can you photograph me coming in? So the funny thing about that actually is as well is that like Meghan has also posed with paparazzi. I've actually seen images of her posing and standing next to paparazzi. I can even show you a picture afterwards. She's got the photographer's got her arm around. He might have his arm around her. He's standing right next to her. I remember the picture vividly. I remember the name of the photographer.
Well, there's that. A photographer admitting that she staged the whole thing. This is the photo he's talking about. I believe it was in revenge that they went into that as well. It was happening quite a bit when she first decided she needed to be in London. And here are some of the pictures that you can clearly see are staged. They don't know who she is. And the article goes on to say they didn't end up even selling these photos. I bring this up to remind you, this is one of the ways that they played victim. They have repeatedly told tall tales of paparazzi hounding, especially her, and how she would draw her curtains because she was afraid of them. If you ask me, it was all a sympathy play and a way to relate herself back to Diana, once again, her favorite sport. I would also like to draw your attention to that Oprah interview because I felt like she was being totally condescending toward Catherine, and that she talked about, oh, it must have been hard. They called her Waity Katie. Not going into the actual harassment behind it, as we've seen in the videos. Instead, it sounds like, oh, they were calling her a schoolyard name. But instead, I suffered all the ist words that she likes to throw around. I mean, tell me you called the paparazzi without telling me you called the paparazzi on yourself. But I also want to say, oh, the irony of claiming invasion of privacy when these two have been seen wearing wires and obviously reporting back private conversations. And yet, when it suits them, they can claim victim and say, no, the paparazzi were all over them. It didn't happen to anybody else but them. And that's the exact, thing that just keeps me coming back for more. It's just unbelievable to see.